Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Helmet to Helmet. My name is Ian.
Wait, this isn't how it goes.
Close enough.
This is Mason, all right? Ian's so right on everything he said. No, this is Ian.
This is Mason. And welcome back to another episode of AAF coverage, Week 6. We're already halfway through the season.
Wow.
And so this episode, we're going to break down the games, talk a little bit about what happened, who won, who didn't. We're going to talk about Johnny Manziel. That'll come first.
Yeah.
But we're also going to make some championship predictions. So World Game 1, I'm not sure quite what they're calling it. Have they come up with a name yet?
I have not seen any name, but let's just call it the games.
Wow, the big game.
The
All
big
right.
game.
So we'll make a big game prediction at the end of this episode. So make sure you stay around for that. So we're going to start off with the biggest news in AAF history.
I would have to agree.
You would have
This
to
is
agree.
the largest free agent signing I've ever seen.
So Johnny Manziel, in case you haven't heard, is no longer in Canada, but is in fact in the AAF, where he was assigned to Memphis, and it became official today, right?
It is.
All right. What's your thoughts on it, Ian? Good, bad, neutral?
Well, neutral because I don't know how good he will be, but at the same time, the Memphis Express sucks. So it will be nice to have him there and just, see what he can do. I mean, who did they have before? You had Hackenberg, Mettenberg.
Who got injured?
Yeah. Okay, so now they're just...
Now they just need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback. And Johnny Manziel, let's see if he can ever have that second attempt that he needs, or his however many second chances he's going to get.
I can agree with that. Johnny Manziel is a big signing for this franchise, partially because I can't think of another first-round pick that's in the league. Can you? Trent Richardson.
Yeah,
but obviously,
first round quarterback. No, I can't really think. It's not really that. I don't know.
Yeah. Especially because Memphis has a good team. We've been saying it all year. Their quarterback play is what's doomed them.
They have a good defense.
Fair enough. What's doomed them is their quarterback play, and we've seen that from Mettenberger, and we've seen it from Hackenberg. Mettenberger had the one good game where they actually won.
Yeah, that was. Then they went back to their normal ways of being Memphis.
Exactly. So, jury's still out on what it will do for Memphis. How many games are they going to end up winning the rest of the year? I'm going to put you on the spot. 4 more games. I will get you their opponents, actually.
They do play the Legends again, right?
So they're going to next week they host Birmingham. After that, they're going to host Orlando. After that, they're going to play at San Antonio. And Week 10, they host Atlanta. So 3 more home games. So
1 more win at Legends. They're going to beat
Week
them.
10?
Yeah, Week 10, they're going to get their second win.
I resent your opinion on that. I think Johnny Manziel can definitely turn this team around. I think they can grab 2 more wins, probably. Just a couple upsets somewhere. Johnny Manziel's talented. He looked pretty good in the CFL. I want to say he had like a 66% completion rate.
They kicked him out, though.
He got concussioned.
Did you get concussioned?
Breaking news. I have been concussioned. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
I'm so sorry. You just said I got concussion, and I was like, oh. Okay.
Welcome
back to Helmet, which obviously has caused one of us to have concussions.
To have been concussioned. Yes.
The
it's
act
a verb
of concussioning.
Now. He was dealing with a concussion when he left. But yeah, they did kick him out. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, let's go into some Week 6 coverage, starting with first, my boys down in Salt Lake getting the win over Memphis 22-9. What do you think of this game, Ian?
It was 22-9. It was a fun game for the most part, if you're one of Mason's team's fans, of course.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're just kind of like, there are more interesting games this week to watch. It wasn't the worst game, though.
No, it definitely wasn't. I thought it was a good game. And despite the score, Memphis was never really out of it. They made a nice 20-yard play over the middle to keep them in it.
It's that quarterback play that's keeping them out of the game. Like, defensively, it's like, okay, they're stopping them. Only 22 points scored. But at the same time, it's just like, if they, which maybe Manziel is the missing link, to make that offense actually be able to score. But without a quarterback, I can't really watch Memphis happily.
I can agree with that. Their defense still looks pretty good, other than we keep saying how good their defense is, but they still gave up 22 points yesterday, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it feels like the average, right? Are they really that good of a defense?
They're better than their offense, so we think that they're better by the transitive property. It's like your offense is so bad that your defense looks really good. You're always out on the field, so I guess they don't get a rest.
I can agree, yeah. A big storyline for this game was turnovers. Memphis lost 2. Salt Lake lost 4, which was atrocious. But then they held their defense.
Yeah, I would say, but they still won the game. It's rare to be able to lose 4 turnovers and win.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find quarterback Brandon Silvers is the one that came in for no, I'm sorry. That's I think that's the Salt Lake quarterback. I got them backwards. Yeah, my bad.
That's all good.
Going to the next game, Orlando, of course, dominates Arizona, who we agreed is the worst team in the league by what?
Oh.
In case you haven't heard, the biggest upset in AAF history, we're going to keep using that.
Yeah, you keep using it.
Happened. Arizona, the 2-3 Hotshots that have been on a 3-game losing skid, upset the Apollos 22-17. What did you think, Ian?
It hands them their very first loss.
It's
this
crazy.
Team is vulnerable. They've lost their very first game, and the Hotshots prove that maybe they aren't as bad as we or not that they're bad, but their losing streak is over. They're looking good. They're looking more cohesive. And then the real question from this game will be is how will Orlando respond to losing for the first time?
Yeah.
Good game though. All in all, a fun close game.
This moves Arizona for me from a tier of a bad team to the tier of an inconsistent team, right there with the Birmingham Iron.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with how well they played. They could almost be like a Pittsburgh Steelers type that plays really bad against bad opponents, but plays really good against good opponents.
Or like barely squeaks by with the win. It's like, y'all should have destroyed them.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect little example of what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very impressed. And Orlando, of course, was never out of it. It was another good game. We had a lot of good games this past weekend.
Yeah.
I want to say Orlando had a chance at the very end, but had a false start with 6 seconds left, and that was a 10-second runoff, and that ended up
and they didn't have any timeouts.
Nope. So that ended up ending the game.
I hate it when games end like that.
I do too, unless it's the Detroit Lions.
Oh, and the Falcons.
Yeah, and the Falcons,
where we still didn't do anything with that season.
Yeah, whip on them.
Yeah.
Then going into Sunday, there was only one game. We don't Atlanta won theirs. We don't even need to mention.
We'll mention it later.
No, we can go ahead and dive into it. San Antonio won 37-6. It's the second largest blowout in AAF history, only behind the 40-6 drubbing Orlando gave the Legends in Week 1.
Hey, we're in the record books.
Ian, we have more wins than Memphis, and we beat them head-to-head. But we also have the 2 largest blowout losses in the league. Are we the worst team?
Record-wise, no. Objectively, probably. But I'm not going to say that we are.
Aaron Murray kind of fell apart after we gotten really excited for him. He threw 3 picks, including a pick 6. And give credit to San Antonio. They probably have one of the better secondaries in the league. But they were obviously bad throws. They were just bad reads.
I mean, the biggest thing from this game is that we did actually score a touchdown. It wasn't just
Younghoe
Koo kicking field goals for us, which is impressive.
Wasn't he out of Georgia Tech, though? So shouldn't you know? No? Who am I thinking of? I was out of Georgia Tech.
Harrison Butker's from Georgia Tech.
That's right, yeah.
I believe he's from Southern.
Georgia Southern, okay.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, neither of you guys are relevant.
He's from Georgia.
You guys aren't relevant. It's fine.
Oh, wow.
There's not too much to talk about with San Antonio and Atlanta. It was a blowout.
Atlanta sucks. Get used to it.
They got bent over the knee and spanked. It's fine. But going back to exciting games, Birmingham
this was a game.
And San Diego. Birmingham had its own 2-game losing skid. San Antonio's trying to fight for supremacy in the West. In the end, it comes down to a game-winning field goal from Birmingham. Luis Perez finally plays like he did in Week 1 for once.
Yeah, that was nice to see.
He looked competent.
Their inconsistency has now kind of changed into like when they're consistent and when they're all playing on the same level, this is an unstoppable team in a way. Even when it's a last-second field goal to win, they're still a very strong team. And give the Fleet plenty of credit because they were in this game till the very end. a very fun game. One of the better games, I would think, of all of AAF history.
Yeah, I wouldn't say their inconsistency has changed because they had a good game. They're still inconsistent.
But their inconsistency from the inconsistency has changed, thus
Good.
making them inconsistent.
Gazoon tight. Anyways, those were the scores from week 6. Who impressed you the most this week?
Honestly, the Hot Shots have impressed me the most this week because they took down an undefeated team, and I know it's a new league, and you wouldn't really think that there would be an undefeated team at this point, but they defeated them, and it was by more than just a last-second field goal. It was a touchdown, more score, and it was impressive because I didn't think they had the ability to do that.
I can definitely agree. I think Arizona's probably what most people are thinking because they beat the undefeated Orlando Apollos. I was really impressed with San Antonio and just the dominant drubbing they gave of what looked like a competent Atlanta team. You know, those 2 weeks they looked good.
Underneath Murray's leadership, yeah, but I don't know. Our team is...
It looks bad. So now we're going to go into our power rankings, and I think since it's the second half of the year, we're going to do this a little differently. I think it would be better if we start going down 1 through 8. So you can start and you can kind of explain your thought process, and so the fans really get to know why people are where. So you go ahead and start.
My 1 through 8
You
first?
go 1 through 8.
First, we're going to have the Apollos because even though they did lose their very first game, they're still the best team record-wise, and I'm going to give them... I give almost every single team a one-loss break before I start saying, you're awful, go down.
Which is why Atlanta has a 7-loss break, right? Yeah. So as long as they're not 2
We're
and 8.
only in week 6, though.
As long as they're not 2 and 8 at the end of the season,
Yeah, then
they're
they'll
probably
still-
the best team in the league. Yeah.
Obviously.
I
just didn't put them there this week.
Fair enough. Give the other team some hope. All right.
Second, we have the Commanders because they're leading their division 4-2. Strong showing once again. Good games for them. Iron gets third place for me because they are still inconsistent, but they're making a comeback, which I didn't think that they could do quite yet. I thought they would still be losing for a little bit longer. Hot Shots because they did upset Apollos. Fleet because they still cannot win on the road. I'm sorry. If you win on the road, you'll go up. Stallions, 6th place. They're not a bad team, but they also cannot win on the road. They're worse at winning on the road. So they're 0-3 right there on the road. Legends, 7th place. Just because you don't have the worst record, but honestly, you're the worst team. And then finally, the Memphis Johnny Manziels. Because does that really need an explanation?
No, they definitely look like the worst team in the
Okay.
league. Mine is a little different, and you'll see why as we go down. So I have a new number 1, and I'm definitely going to tease this in the description and maybe even the title. We'll
Clickbait?
see. Yes, clickbait. We're adding in, and we've reached that level. Please click on our videos, please. I want monetization. At number 1, I have the San Antonio Commanders at 4-2. What? Yeah.
Gasp.
San Antonio has quietly, outside of 1 or 2 just trip-ups, they've looked like one of the best teams in the league. They're leading their division. They look better than the Fleet, even though the Week 3 drubbing looked really badly. It looked really bad. I apologize.
That sentence was really badly.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely think the Commanders are the number 1. At number 2, of course, I have that team from the East that everyone loves, the Birmingham Iron at 4-2.
No one
They
else.
finally came back with Luis Perez. So I do still think that the Iron are inconsistent, which is why they're under the Commanders. But I think that when they're good, they're really good. I think that puts them high enough to be number 2. Number 3, I have the Hot Shots because of a crazy win. They deserve it. I mean, I had them a lot lower last week. I think they showed us that they're not just a bad team, they're an inconsistent team. And because of their record and because they're inconsistent, I have them at 3. Number 4, I have the Fleet. Essentially, my reason for putting them here is better than the Stallions, but they didn't get the signature win that Arizona just got. And so they're kind of just the middle. Number 5, I have Salt Lake. Yeah, boy, we beat Memphis. Oh, boy.
You're 2-4.
They're 2-4, and they're not getting blown out like my number 6 team, the Atlanta Legends. Obviously, Atlanta has a lot of work to do. I don't think they'll get it done this year. I really, really hope they get it done next year. I really want a winner.
Exists.
Yeah, it will. Oh, it will. This is going to last, 40, 50 years. This is going to be a great league. Number 7, I have the Memphis Express. Obviously, they're one of the worst teams in the league at 1-5. Terrible record, terrible offense. I have them at 7 though instead of 8 because of the addition of Johnny Manziel. That can really turn the offense around. It'll keep them from being the worst team in the league. And at number 8, I have the Orlando Apollos. Suffered an absolutely humiliating loss to the Arizona Hotshots. I mean, 5 points. You're telling me you couldn't make up 5 points? False start penalties? Clearly this team is not mentally aware of what's going on. So they need a lot more mental discipline, and their play on the field left a lot to be desired, especially that strip sack they gave Arizona the ball back. They left a lot to be desired. Plus, they don't have Johnny Manziel. They don't have Aaron Murray. They never signed a former Reinhardt player, so I can't put them above the Stallions, Legends, or Express. I mean, it's the only place I can put them. And 8's not bad. I mean, 8 is a quality place. If you were 8th in the NFL, you're still making the playoffs. So I don't have anything against the Orlando Apollos, but I think this is a good place for where they should be. So off of that, do you have any comments?
Yes, we are so sorry, fans. It looks like he's been concussioned, however you pronounced it earlier.
Yeah.
That has gone straight to his head.
Anyways, now we're gonna pick our championship matchups.
And
So
how many teams is it? 2 from each division?
from what have been told, it's the top 2 in each division. But I'm just asking who you think is in the big game.
Okay, so the big game.
The big game.
From East Division, Apollos are going to bounce back from this loss. They might lose 1 or 2 more games in the rest of the season, but they'll still be the best record and the best team, best coach team, just most cohesive unit. And honestly, the West Division's up for grabs. Anyone can really make it. And if the Hot Shots, I think, keep up what they have been doing, I mean, I know they've been slightly inconsistent, but they did beat the Apollos. That can spark that team to be like, we can be the best team in this league, and they could win out and possibly have a rematch of that week.
Yeah, I think that's a fair prediction. For me in the West, I've got San Antonio because I think they've been the most consistent, obviously.
Yes.
The West is still pretty open. I mean,
The
only
West
thing
is
separating-
a more less divisive division.
Yeah,
of
I was going
the
to say
teams.
Salt Lake's 1 game away from being second place, and they're in the
Mhm.
bottom right now. So there's nothing really set in stone yet in the West, just kind of cannibalizing each other. I definitely think San Antonio, though, looks like the cream of the crop right now, especially with the 2-1 division record.
Yes.
The East has been really interesting for me because do I go with the established Iron, the hometown Legends, the Memphis Express that just acquired Johnny Manziel, or the spunky underdog Apollos? And it's been really tough. I think I'm going to go with the Iron here, though. I think
Ooh.
once they get to the playoffs, they play the Legends, the Express, the Apollos, whoever ends up there. Probably not the Apollos, probably the Legends. Whoever ends up there, I think Birmingham will be a little bit better then. Because the thing with inconsistent teams is that first playoff game, you're almost always better. It's when you go on farther. So I've got the Commanders matching up with the Iron. But tell us what you guys think down in the comments below. Good picks, bad picks, who you think's going to make it. Tell me why it's going to be Salt Lake and Memphis. I'm sorry, Salt Lake and Orlando, the 2 worst teams at the very bottom. Yeah, let us know. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think you've said it all.
Before we sign out, a little cross-sport action. March
Ooh.
Madness. The brackets were revealed yesterday, Ian. Have you had a chance to look it over?
I have not yet.
Okay.
It's still trying to load. Thank you, Reinhardt.
I was going to say, Reinhardt fans, if you're listening, we are doing a bracket challenge. Feel free to leave a comment on the show if you'd like to be involved. It's a little open to everyone. Signing off now, I'm Mason.
And this is Ian.
And this is Helmet to Helmet.